Hello and welcome to The Waste of Web Space, episode 10. We're back.
We are back. The Waste of Web Space podcast featuring
Jimbo
and Fisher.
We're back after 4 years away. It seems a bit odd that we do this, that we come back after 4 years.
We are like the World Cup of podcasts.
Did we go away? Did we split up? Did we have creative differences?
When you never have creativity in the first place, you can't have differences over it, Jimbo.
I suppose not, but we are back now. We're going to have another go at it.
We are. We've been very busy. The last time we did a podcast recording, episode 9, Jimbo had just had his engagement party.
That's right, yes.
Since then, I've also got engaged.
And I'm married.
So am I.
And I have a child.
I haven't.
You've been putting up some shelves this week, though, haven't you?
I have put up some shelves this week, which is very much... The shelving is the baby of our garage.
And it's a very grown-up thing to do.
It's a very manly thing to do.
Yeah, and we've both done a lot of manly things since then. A lot we shouldn't talk about, maybe.
Yes. Nonetheless, we will crack on with our podcast. We are back to entertain people. We are aiming to try and do this every fortnight. So, in truth, we'll probably do it for about 3 episodes, then give up again for about 5 years. But we are determined to carry on and do good quality podcasting.
So, what's coming up then? Well, coming up on our list today, we have Apology of the Week. Now, this is a new feature that you used to do on your fish tank videos, isn't it? But we're going to bring back Apology of the Week because we need to do some apologising. Also, we'll be looking at what's been in the news. This is something we want to talk topical. In 4 years, a lot's happened.
Yep.
We're not going to try and cover all 4 years' worth of news, though.
We are not. And we are also aiming to be a Trump and Brexit-free zone, if possible.
Yeah, well, this is where we disagree sometimes, isn't it? Because you like Trump, as in, not like him in that, you like him because he provides good quality humour and things to talk about.
He is one of the best comedians known to man. I mean, if you look, I mean, he's got one of the biggest IQs known to man. But, it's a Trump-free zone.
Oh, so you're even still trying to do your impressions that you used to do 4 years ago as well?
Didn't do the Donald Trump impression 4 years ago. It wasn't well enough now.
We're going to give each episode a theme this time as well. So we're going to give it quite a unique theme. Now, I've decided that this theme for this podcast should be Halloween because we can call this episode 10, the WOWS podcast, Back from the Dead.
Back from the dead.
That seems, that's what... We're not back from the dead. We haven't died and then come back.
We merely hibernated sort of through winter, then the next summer, winter, summer, and now we're back.
What else have we got coming? Oh, we've got a new feature called the Irregular feature.
Yep, it's going to change every week.
So it can't be a regular feature, but we're going to regularly do a feature that's irregular every week.
Yep, me and Jimbo are going to alternate in terms of what we do. I'm going to be doing it this week, and we're going to test each other out, and we're going to see how that goes.
And in future also, we're going to have a word of the week, aren't we? That our respective wives are going to have to give us before we do the podcast, and we've got to sneak in to the show without the other one noticing, and at the end we'll work out whether or not we got the word right or not, if you know what I mean.
Yep, we would have done that tonight, but to be honest, we've only just got our the podcast equipment from the last 4 years, so we're not quite that advanced that we can do it yet.
We've upgraded, and it's quite sad that in 4 years, North Korea have upgraded their nuclear weaponry quicker than we have upgraded our podcasting equipment.
Exactly, we are now...
It's a sad world that we live in.
Well, we're now in the kitchen, aren't we, of your house?
Now, that is a good upgrade, because if you remember, the previous podcast was done in a bedroom.
Yep.
Now we are in a kitchen.
Not that kind of podcast.
That has its very own ensuite. We have an ensuite kitchen or a downstairs toilet.
Yes.
So we could technically call we have an ensuite studio.
Exactly.
And we've got food, we've got water, we've got drinks.
We've got a bin that opens without even touching it.
That's another upgrade that I did in the last 4 years, yeah. So wave your hand over the bin and it opens. For coming up section, we're pretty much covering the whole podcast in here. But then at the end, what are we do? Oh, you're going to do the irregular feature this week. We're going to obviously look at what's in the news and all that kind of thing. But at the end also, we're going to try and promote our Twitter accounts and stuff like that.
Yes, we've got a Twitter account. We've found the password out again. We've changed the display picture back to being the Waste of Web Space logo. So we're all back and cooking on gas. We are all fully functional once again.
So we need to do our apology of the week.
Yes, so we basically apologise for not being around for the last 4... Well, we have been around, but we're not podcasting for the last 4 years. Unless you don't like us, in which case you'll probably not be even remotely bothered. But this got sort of 7, 8 listeners at times. So
hey, it could be more than that. We're sorry that we left it so long, and I hope nobody's been waiting for 4 years, just continuously refreshing on the website, hoping there'd be another. I don't think that's actually happened.
Sat there with buffer face.
I think we also need to apologise to the celebrities we may have mentioned in our previous podcasts, a lot of which who people aren't around anymore. That's how long it's been. 2016 took a lot of the celebrities that we often talked about in our podcasts.
Yep, the sheer amount of jokes about Bruce. Actually, he survived 2016, didn't he? He was a 2017 one.
He was, yes. Yeah.
Brucey. But yeah, I think getting a mention on the Waste of Web Space podcast was sort of a surefire way of passing away a few years later.
Yeah, well, I hope not. So just be careful if that is some sort of curse. We can apologise for that in advance.
Yes, we can.
I suppose. So, in the news then?
Well, there has been a lot in the news in the last 4 years.
Well, that's fortunate.
Yeah, I mean, can you believe it? I mean, this week we had terror. People could not believe what had happened because a hurricane had gone round the country.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
Hurricane Ophelia. And would you believe this? If you're in Ireland, you'd be talking about the fact it unfortunately claimed 3 lives, I believe. If you're in London, turn the sky red. It turned the sky red. The sky went a little bit of a orangey colour, didn't it?
It was very. It did look like that it was the end of the world coming up, and I started to consider my options when I saw the sky red. I thought, is this it? Is this it? But I do remember a lot of people taking photographs of the red sky.
Yeah, what options were you thinking? Is it Instagram or Facebook I should put this one on? Oh, the world's about to end. I know what.
I'll take a picture, I'll send a tweet, I'll do a Snapchat nowadays.
Yeah, Snapchat. The Snapchat lasting 5 seconds might last longer than the rest of the world. Imagine that. The world ends, but your Snapchat is still going out and still playing.
I've always thought about whether I should do like because you can schedule tweets and Facebook posts and things like that. I've always thought whether I could schedule one for when I'm probably not going to be alive anymore, and like I'm still here, sort of thing. Whether it'd still be around by the time that comes, but whether I could do a sort of in the future scheduled post so that it's like a posthumous Facebook post or something.
You could have someone playing you. Imagine that, having a trained actor going on and logging onto your Facebook account and playing like in a biopic of your Facebook account.
Or I could post a video of myself, schedule a video of myself in the future eating hummus, and it could be my posthumous video.
Could well be, Jimbo. But what else has been happening this week? One of my favourite bits of the week has had to be, well, I say favourite, it's the FA and how bad is just football in general. Unfortunately, if anyone saw the news, certain members from the Football Association were called to Parliament to answer questions about discrimination within the England women's team. And it just beggars belief, really, doesn't it, that they decide to sack their manager because he didn't meet the correct standards required to work for the FA. It was quite. Perhaps it's just the case that this manager actually won a couple of games in charge of the England team that meant he had to fall on his sword. No pun intended. And they sacked him over a piece of paper and a report, that they'd had for quite some time.
That they'd obviously held on to, then.
They'd held on to, unlike an England goalkeeper, they held on to it. Although they didn't bother looking at it until they decided to read it and then sack the manager. They also started their sort of speech in Parliament by apologising to one of the players in question, having previously said that she was a liar. They then actually realised that what she said was actually true. So it was all robustly abysmal, really. If you thought the performances on the pitch were bad, you ought to have seen the people running the show in Parliament.
I always found it a bit strange that, not so much strange, but a bit of a shame, really, that the actual manager of the England's women's team was actually a man. You thought it would be quite a high-level job that maybe a lady could do. To actually, for the women's game, it'd been quite a good thing. And I know they had him because he was a good coach and all that kind of thing. But I don't know. I didn't know if you'd think that. Do you think a lady should do that job? You wouldn't catch a woman being manager of a man's team at the moment. Maybe in the future, hopefully. But at the minute, you'd think that maybe a lady could take that particular job.
Well, yes, indeed. The former coach of the England women's football team was a woman called Hope Powell. But unfortunately, the England football team now have got no hope.
Well, what else has been in the news then?
Not too sure. We've not very long. We've only had 4 years. Saturday Night TV. Saturday Night TV's been on. The X Factor. Have you watched The X Factor?
I've seen this 6-chair challenge thing. I've been sort of forced to watch.
Yeah. Why don't 6-chair challenge? Why don't you just take your own chair on with you? You say, I've not got a seat. Don't matter. I've got my own with me. Got all these fold-up chairs that I bought from Argos for $2.99.
It'd be good if somebody took one of the voice seats on with them and just kept spinning round. For God's sake, sit still.
That's a laugh because there's this thing at judges' houses, don't they?
Yeah.
And it had got Simon Cowell. I think he got Cheryl, whatever her surname is now. I've no idea. And Nicole Scherzinger got Stormzy. Louis Walsh had got Mika, to which some people thought, who's that? I mean, we're not back in 2006, are we? But yeah, he had one song, whatever.
Yeah, 2 actually. 3 pretty good songs.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Big Girls, Grace Kelly.
Yes, yeah.
Love Today. That's about what the 3 I can name.
And I believe he's actually a judge on one of the overseas versions of the X Factor.
Okay, fair enough. So he's got some judging credentials then.
Believe so, yes. Sharon Osbourne. Guess who she got as a? She had 2 experts. Guess who she had?
Don't tell me it was a family member's.
It was. I don't want to mention Donald Trump in terms of bringing family members in, but very reminiscent of him. She actually had Jack and Kelly Osbourne there. It's as though she sort of like completely forgot about it. Turned up at the house and she thought, "Oh bugger, Jack, Kelly, just come downstairs for a minute and just pop yourself on the seats over there, and I've got a little job for you."
If anything, you thought she would have asked Ozzy because he's the one with the musical experience, I suppose.
He's got plenty of experience, I think, in terms of music. A fair amount of tales to tell. And on the BBC, Saturday Night Entertainment, what do you get? Strictly Come Dancing.
Oh, well, you can't fault Strictly Come Dancing. It's a favourite.
I'm a Strictly...
Not mine, but it's a favourite.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yes, you do sound like Bruce Forsyth there in terms of talking about your favourites. But this week, who did you have? Yeah, the judges were out there. We've got Craig Rollo-Horwood, Darcy Bussell, Shirley Ballas, the Liverpool woman whose name I can't fully remember.
Is she the one that's replaced Len?
She's replaced Len.
Has she got like a new, because it used to be a 10 from Len? Do they say it's a... I don't know. I'm not sure. She
said, I would give you a 10, but it's a bit too early from Shirley. Now, I've no idea if she will at some point, no doubt, come up with a clever catchphrase. But this week's show, 3 judges came out. Bruno Tonioli wasn't there.
How come?
Busy workload.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. I've been busy podcasting tonight, so I'm just not going to turn into work tomorrow morning. It'll be fine. So I was doing something last night, so it don't matter.
I was not going to turn up for this because I had a busy workload.
Well, you've not turned up for the last 4 years.
But then I thought if you just turned up in the house, then that'd be a bit odd.
I've been sat in your kitchen for the last 4 years. Yeah. Occasionally I have to go to the ensuite bathroom, but so I can't quite understand how he managed to get away with just not turning up.
Well, he obviously has. I'm looking forward to his excuse next week when he turns up.
He'll be back next week. I was here, I was there, I was running down everywhere. It was great. Oh, I'm back.
So this is Halloween, our Halloween feature, because of course we're theming each show, and this week is the week of Halloween. So I was trying to ask you, are you doing any sort of Halloween fancy dress or anything this time round?
Well, I will tell you an amusing-ish story. Well, actually, that might not be that amusing, but
should we not tell it then?
Yeah. Well, why break that bit of lifetime? Last year, I decided that we just cleaned our bed sheets. There was no specific reason why we needed to clean them, other than just a normal course of doing some washing in the house, and they just dried. So I thought, white bed sheet looks like a ghost, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah. So I thought, I'll tell you what. Next person who knocks on the door, I'm going to answer it with a bed sheet over me and go, "Whoa!" Guess who it was?
Who?
My dad. He came, and this is true. He came round to lend me a drill bit. He wasn't even remotely impressed.
Was this on Halloween?
This was on Halloween,
so he was probably glad to leave the house then. A good excuse to not answer the door because he was out delivering a drill bit.
I suppose so, yes, yeah. And he wasn't very impressed that his son, who's nearly 30 years old, was answering the door, pretending to be a ghost, and then offered him some Haribo.
Well, I mean, although it's 4 years later, I've not grown up either, unfortunately. So after years of turning up in fancy dress and scaring my nephews and nieces, my brother warned me not to do it again because they were getting quite scared. So I stood outside the house this time round, dressed as an evil scarecrow. Well, that was the final straw. You're not liking that?
No, that's good. That's good.
Okay, well, I've got a list of top 10 fancy dresses for this year, though. If you want to have a maybe if you're looking for some ideas for this year, instead of answering the door in a bed sheet, there's some ideas here that are the top. Apparently, according to a website that I found, these are the top 10 fancy dress costumes for this year. Surprisingly, only one of them's Halloween based.
Well, there was one that was banned and taken off a website, wasn't there? I can't remember who you could dress up as. Something that was quite offensive.
I've known each year that there's been costumes banned that you're not allowed to wear. I think Jimmy Savile was one of them for a start.
Well, yeah, sorry. A couple of years ago, you could dress up as an Ebola nurse.
Oh, right, yeah.
I'm not sure who would have worn that. Possibly the fellow who used to manage the England women's team, perhaps, if you believe what was allegedly said. But this year, you could have dressed up as Anne Frank, that well-known Halloween character. So
very odd.
Yeah, very. Not
it wasn't like
sure.
Tesco's selling them, was it? Because Tesco's have been in the news for doing bits and bobs like that, haven't they? And selling inappropriate things and so on. I don't know. Anyway, top 10 then. So number 10. Are we ready for this?
Yep.
We're talking mermaids.
Little Mermaid?
Just mermaids in general. Yeah. Which I don't think mermaids are that scary. I don't think that they've got much Halloween. I don't know, anything to do with Halloween, really?
Well, if you saw someone who was half woman, half fish, what would you think?
Well,
yeah, I'm delighted to see that, yeah. That's not even remotely scary.
Yeah, it would probably be a bit more freakish than what you see in the Disney films and so on. But if you look at Pirates of the Caribbean, there's scary mermaids in that one, actually. So maybe you could get away with that. Unicorn costumes are up 110% on Pinterest from last year.
Right. Okay.
The fact that they were selling so many on Pinterest last year and more this year is rather unusual as well.
Yeah, I've not really got much to say on it.
Hippie, the 60s look, is at number 8.
Right, okay. So I suppose that could be quite scary, yeah.
Baywatch characters are at number 7, so inspired by the new film with Dwayne Johnson, The Rock.
The Rock, and I can't remember who plays the woman in it.
Not 100% sure. I think Pam's in it at some stage. It's a bit of a cameo role, isn't she? And I'm not sure whether Mr. David Hasselhoff's in it or not.
He appears in pretty much anything else, doesn't he? So.
Well, there's a film about killing the Hoff recently.
Was there? Oh.
Yeah. Which sounded like a Halloween film, but it wasn't, and it wasn't that good either. Game of Thrones characters is at number 6.
Is that just people walking around without any clothes on and stuff and having sort of sex scenes?
I don't think so. But I did. Somebody answered the door of a day, and they were dressed as. I answered the door to them, and they were dressed as Jon Snow. Do you know what he looks like? He's dressed like a sort of crow and so on.
Channel 4 newsreader.
Yeah. That's the one. Yeah, that's right. Next, we've got Wonder Woman.
I don't see why that would be. Why would people be scared by the idea that a woman would be very powerful and strong? I mean, there's nothing remotely scary about that.
Giraffe costumes, number 4.
Well, that's a bit tall of them, isn't it? But,
yeah. Well, I'm going to stick out my neck out here, and I'm going to think it's not the best dress costume to go with. It's not Halloween based. Not like in that one.
I mean, surely you answered the door, and yet you wouldn't be able to see the person because it'd be too tall. You'd be looking. It just wouldn't work at all. That would it?
Beauty and the Beast character.
Presumably that's the Beast, not the Beauty.
Well, I suppose it could be either. It's just the teacup, a chest of drawers.
Well, I suppose that would
a pair of ladies' drawers.
If a pair of ladies' drawers were there when I answered the door, then I'd be mightily disappointed if it turned out to be a shelving unit.
Kids from Stranger Things. It's getting ridiculous.
Well, I've never watched Stranger Things, so...
well, you don't need to. That's just the title of it, and that'll do. But it's quite good, actually. Stranger Things is a pretty good programme, actually. If you get a chance to watch it, I'd recommend it. And then Pennywise from IT. Oh, no, sorry, It. I think that's what it's supposed to be. I don't know.
From the IT crowd, what?
Or the IT department at work.
Well, anyone who works in the IT department.
I didn't know there was anyone called Pennywise working in there, but no, Pennywise from It, which is the clown film. I think it's a Stephen King film, isn't it? I think.
I've no idea, but Pennywise from a woman working in the IT department. Pennywise, so that is again very good and good for equality and diversity.
Well, my niece is apparently going to go out dressed as a mummy this Halloween, but it's particularly cold weather forecast, so I've told her to wrap up. Okay.
Now I think it's time for our irregular feature.
Irregular feature. Okay, what we got here then?
So what I'm going to do this week is I have brought with me. I was going to say 2 facts, but that's not true. I've brought with me 1 fact and 1 lie.
Okay.
And Jimbo, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to give 2 statements, and you're going to try and work out which is true and which is false.
Can I question you on this too?
You can ask me. I'll give you a little bit more detail about it. You can think about it. You can say anything that you want to say, and I'll let you know which is true. So. Having mentioned Anne Frank earlier on, that well-known Halloween character, we're going to talk about the Nazis.
Right, okay.
So we say we're not mentioning Donald Trump, so we'll mention the thing most closely associated. So one thing is, the Nazis invented Fanta. is one statement, and the other statement is the Nazis invented Adidas.
So one of them is true.
One of them is true, and one of them is a load of rubbish.
One of them is a load of rubbish, okay.
So, a bit more detail. Fanta was invented in Nazi Germany as a trade ban meant they couldn't source the ingredients to manufacture Coca-Cola. So they decided to make a different soft drink.
Okay.
And Adidas, as a way to compete with the American company Nike, because they were getting so much exposure, the Nazis created the Adidas brand name in order to push Germany's sports products out to the market.
Okay, interesting.
One of those is true, one of them is a load of rubbish.
Okay, so Fanta then. So that's is it the orange Fanta as opposed to the lemon Fanta, or which came first?
I believe the orange one was the breakout product for Fanta.
Okay. See, I think if they were going to try and replicate something, they'd try and replicate it properly, rather than just make an entirely different drink, because Coca-Cola is a completely different drink, isn't it? It's a different flavour, it's not the same thing. You know, you'd have thought the Nazis would have invented some kind of cola that wasn't called Pepsi or Coca-Cola or whatever.
I should have said that, shouldn't I? They invented Pepsi. Yeah. Unless this is true, obviously.
I'm not sure.
I believe it has certain things inside it.
They might have called it Fizzy Adolf or something instead, rather than Fanta.
Yeah, Fiora or something like that. Yeah. But they said that they couldn't import certain parts of that product.
Right.
Because there was a ban in terms of importing things in and out of Germany.
Okay. And the other one then is about them, the brand Adidas. They made up their own brand of clothing to compete with Nike and so on.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, I've seen the Adidas logo. Mm-hmm. It's like it's like a level bar chart, like a level thing. It's like lots of blocks all together that get slightly bigger.
Yeah, it's nothing like a swastika, if that's what you're saying.
Well, what I mean is that the Nazis were pretty good at, well, not good, I wouldn't say good at logos, but I would say they were pretty good at creating logos that people would remember, I suppose.
Yeah.
And they already wore this on the uniform anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So whether they wanted to, I don't know whether. I'd probably go with the Adidas one as being real, maybe, because of the style of the logo being quite plain, simple sort of thing. I don't know. Okay.
So you're saying that they invented Adidas and not Fanta?
I'm going to go they invented Adidas and not Fanta.
Okay. Well, tune in next week to see whether Jimbo... I will reveal that they actually invented Fanta.
Oh, right, okay.
Although, interestingly, I heard this a couple of days ago, and I was trying to research this today, and because Adidas is a German company.
Right, okay.
Made by someone called Adi Dassler.
Right,
which is his name. His brother
it's
Rudy.
A good name, isn't it?
It's very convenient.
Has he got a brother called Bobby? Is that where it comes from?
He doesn't have a brother called Bobby. He does have a brother called Rudy Dassler.
Okay.
Who invented Puma.
Right. Okay.
And the two of them.
Did they have a cousin that used to be the sort of fashion model for these clothing brands?
Go on.
Was it Bobby? That's what I'm saying.
Oh right, sorry. No, I thought you were going to create.
I wonder if that's where the phrase came from. Bobby Dassler.
I didn't research that deeply.
That's next week's homework.
To try and find out.
Where does the name Bobby Dassler come from? The Dazzlers, who obviously famously make German clothing. The sound of it.
Sports clothing. I think they started off with football boots. The originally they worked together until they had a big falling out. And part of the reason they had a falling out was during the war. There was another Allied air raid on Germany where they lived, and one of them was in an air raid shelter with his wife, and as soon as the airplanes came over, the other brother came running in, and the brother who was in there already said to his wife, "The bastards have come back," and he claimed he was talking about the English bombers coming over and dropping bombs on Germany. However, his brother thought he was talking about him. Thought it was expressing his disappointment that his brother had also come into air raid shelter and thought they wanted him to die. So they fell out and created their own sports companies, Adidas and Puma. And there was a lot of opposition to it in their local community, to the extent where it was a bit of a status thing, which brother did you support, and people would often look at your shoes to see which one you were wearing. Were you wearing Puma or were you wearing Adidas?
Very interesting, very interesting.
So not created by the Nazis, but created by Germany after the war.
So, that is just about all we have time for. It's time to give a bit of an update on our Twitter's accounts and stuff like that. So, after many years, we managed to work out how to log back in.
Yep, we've remembered our handle and our username and password and all that sort of stuff.
So the Twitter is @wasteofwebspace.
Yep. Jimbo actually recorded a World Cup song during the 4 years hiatus of our podcast.
I went and did solo.
He went solo, yet he still promoted it via our joint Twitter account.
He's still on iTunes.
He's still on iTunes. He's probably got more longevity to it than England's campaign did during that World Cup.
It has actually. I rewrote it so that it could be used at future World Cup events, so that it's not got no mention of Rooney or anything like that, and it won't be playing anymore.
Just contains references to getting knocked out in the last 16 on penalties and that sort of stuff.
Exactly, that'd work every time.
Yeah. You had a nice picture of an England flag, which sort of led to us getting followed by presumably some people who thought we were right-wing extremists.
National Front and things like that. Yeah, no, that's not the case. We've changed that back now, haven't we?
Yeah, we have mentioned Nazis in this podcast quite a bit, but we don't support them or anything like that.
Is that a Adidas shirt wearing?
It is. Can't believe you've got Puma on. So yeah, I'm not sure how many followers we've got now.
I think we're up to 20. We actually got more in the 4 years that we were away than we were actually doing these podcasts originally.
Yeah, the secret, it's a bit like playing jazz music maybe. It's sort of the bits you leave out as opposed to the bits you do, no doubt.
There's also a Facebook page,
there is.
Which is just waste of web space. And of course, the website itself, wasteofwebspace.co.uk, where you'll find all sorts of old stuff like all of the old podcasts and then other bits as well.
Yeah. And the new stuff as well, like the podcasts, and possibly I might even write the odd blog here and there.
Well, when we get round to putting this on, I mean, you know what we've been like. It took us 4 years to do this one, so by the time we put our Halloween edition of this podcast onto online, it might well be Christmas, in which case, Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah, have a good Christmas. As the old joke goes, how do you know when it's Christmas in the supermarkets?
I'm not sure.
They're putting the Easter eggs out.